Welcome to Trash Talk with Trista, a podcast from Ramsey, Washington Recycling and Energy. I'm Executive Director Trista Martinson. Today, we're celebrating a major milestone, 10 years of Ramsey, Washington Recycling and Energy. Joining me is Commissioner Karla Bigham, an R&E board member and waste enthusiast, who will be talking with me about R&E's 10-year anniversary and everything the organization has accomplished over the last 10 years. Commissioner Karla Bigham serves as a Washington County Board of Commissioners and was elected to the current term in 2022. Commissioner Bigham previously served on the board from 2015 to 2018 and has held elected office at multiple levels. She is a professional in every way, including terms in the Minnesota State Senate and House of Representatives, as well as service on the Cottage Grove City Council. Commissioner Bigham also currently serves as a member of the Ramsey Washington Recycling and Energy Board. Welcome, Commissioner Bigham.
Thanks for having me, Trista.
It's so good to be here and celebrating 10 years. We've been through a lot together.
Yes.
Yeah. So for listeners who may not know the full story, can you just explain who Ramsey Washington Recycling and Energy is and how we came to be part of the counties?
So, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about this because we're proud. The R&E Center is where the trash from the municipal solid waste, for being technical, from Ramsey and Washington counties is brought to once it comes from, gets collected from your curb, and we process it there. Okay. And so by statute, the counties are in charge of processing waste. And actually, waste management was one of the first, if not the first, public health policy in the country, way back in the day, right? And so it's very important that we do this right and we get it done right in an environmentally sustainable way that's also economically efficient. And so Ramsey and Washington in the 80s joined together and decided that's how we're going to do this efficiently and effectively. And through the years, there was what I would deem essentially a hedge fund that was funding the center. And then a dear friend of ours, former Ramsey County Commissioner Victoria Reinhardt, and led the charge. And you were on the Ramsey County Board, and I'm on the Washington County Board, along with a bunch of our colleagues through the years, decided that we need to purchase that building because the hedge fund wanted to do something else. And we were concerned really about how we were going to continue to meet that need for Ramsey, Washington, but also protect those jobs. Our workers are what makes everything possible. And I believe that they are very passionate about how we process our municipal solid waste. And we didn't want anything to happen to them. So with all that said and done, 10 years ago, we were able to purchase it through a joint powers agreement. And the innovation and advancement and just sheer energy, no pun intended, that has resulted from it is very exciting.
Yeah, it really is. And it's a lot of trash, right?
Yes.
All waste from both counties comes to our facility because of designation. It's about 450,000 tons a year.
Well, and let's think about this for a second. Yeah. You have the state fair.
Yes.
Holy
that's
mackerel,
a lot of garbage.
Second largest state fair in the country. So that's a lot of garbage. And then you have the Grand Casino now, right?
Yes.
Yep. And then you have Roy Wilkins, you have Allianz, you have CHS, you have so many stadiums in St. Paul. And then just think about all the suburbs in Washington County and in Ramsey County.
And let's not forget the garbage from the state capitol itself.
Yeah, I will leave that one. I will leave that one alone.
Well, so as you know, we purchased this 10 years ago, and it really was with an eye of doing things different, not to increase the throughput. We're not there to make money, but we really are focused on how can we manage the waste and reduce what's going to landfill.
Correct.
Ultimately.
And through that, not only do we have strong partners with recycling, your normal recycling, your paper, your newspaper, your aluminum, your glass, all that stuff, right?
Yes.
But in the last 10 years, we have done something so innovative, which is our food scrap recovery, which I know the two of us are extremely proud of.
That's right.
And that diverts a lot of tons of waste out of the landfills, which is our goal.
65,000 tons.
65,000 tons. And, we continue to build on different things and think about how we can continue to lead, but also, make sure we are doing things in a very sustainable way, because there's a price.
Absolutely.
Not only to the taxpayer, right? Like, through your garbage fees and garbage costs and stuff like that. There's a price to the environment.
That's right.
For not doing this correctly. So it's very important we get it done right and that we lead.
Absolutely. I mean, you're a Washington County Commissioner, a legislator who's worked really hard to make sure that we have good policy. And PFAS is real,
yes.
right? And your district in particular has been really hard hit on PFAS.
Yes.
So the work that we do in the way we process waste can help control PFAS and actually destroy it.
Absolutely. And we need our partners at the legislature, and they've taken some very aggressive steps to make sure that we even prevent the upstream of products that contain PFAS by making sure we can't have those sold here in Minnesota or manufactured here in Minnesota. Tons of different items that they have said you can't do that. So that helps. But then to your point, if we don't divert waste, then it goes into a landfill, and the leachate, right?
Yes,
from that's what we call that. From the waste gets into our water stream and our aquifers, and that's our drinking water. And that's really in how it all happened with PFAS anyway.
Right.
And so how do we collect products like that and then make sure that we are able to destroy them so that PFAS cannot harm us like it has in the past? I mean, these are forever chemicals.
Yep.
Certainly in our lifetime, I don't believe they will be completely destroyed or removed from our ecosystem. But we can damn well make sure that we limit what's coming in, and we can appropriately and properly destroy them when we do know it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's talk a little more about what Ramsey Washington Recycling and Energy does and how community members are impacted by that. So, if we think about community, how do you think us owning the facility and running it has impacted community and for the better, right?
Yep, absolutely it has. So, when the Ramsey Washington County Board is a joint powers board that now controls the actual physical facility. And prior to that, there were a lot of odor issues.
Yes.
Specifically, and I represent Newport. It's where I was born and baptized. A year after that, moved to Cottage Grove. But, and I'm still there. So it really was almost personal that we had to, that company, the hedge fund, was not taking care of it. And it was like top one priority. There was no other priority other than getting the odor under control and protecting the workers that were at the facility so that we can continue to process the waste. And we have put odor mitigation systems in. We have made sure that we're testing. And every year, you and I and members of the facility go to the Newport City Council and give a report. It's all public. We have a reporting system. Now, I wish our neighbors across the river in Dakota County were better at controlling their odor from a certain industrial place over there. But we take care of our own and stay in our lane, and that was a top priority. And we have really improved not only the relationship with the city of Newport, but the actual air, and the residents have noticed.
Yeah, and it's odor and litter. Like, we work really hard to make sure our facility is clean, the area is clean, and it doesn't smell. Right. So if someone is smelling something stinky, it's probably not us.
No.
Yes.
No.
In fact, our system is so good that several other processing centers are putting in the same system. To include Excel, our partners down in Red Wing have installed the same system to control mitigate odor. So
again, leading.
That's it. That's what we like to do. Yep. We definitely do. What do you think is on the horizon for us, or what are you hoping for?
Oh boy. One, I hope we have a it's no secret we're going to have a new administration in the state with Governor Walz retiring, and then we're going to have over a third of new legislators. Mm-hmm. So my hope on the horizon is that we get strong partners that will invest in systems that have proven results and will remove waste so that it diverts it from landfills and process it in a proper way. We can do waste and turn it into energy.
Yes.
And I think that is vitally important.
Yes.
You have all these talks about data centers. You have all these talks about junkyards that have a lot of waste. You have with metal and scrap metal, and then glass.
Right.
There are parts of this world, specifically Germany, that has really innovative technology that really can help remove these items from the waste system and either reuse them for brand new products or, make sure that they are properly disposed of and not put in a landfill so that it's turned into a biogas or some sort of like anaerobic digestion. Right. And we do have a very big partnership with DEMCON that will help with our food waste and turn that into energy. And so that is what I hope is on the horizon, is that we have partners that will walk with us through the future of energy and the future of solid waste management.
Yeah, there's nothing but opportunity. It's garbage, right? Mm-hmm. Right now, all it's doing is, it's either getting buried or, unlike many places, most counties just bury their waste. But we really work to recover everything we possibly can to then make it into energy. I mean, you and I have talked a lot. Our fifth grade science, we were told if it was made with energy, there's still energy in it. So how do we get that out? Especially now with the cost of fuels and heating and cooling our homes. With climate change, right? There's just tons of possibility. And so it's so good to have you, a member of the board that continues to push us and doesn't let us stay idle. And what else can we do? We're always looking.
And it's not a localized thing, Trista.
Yeah.
This is it's not even a regional thing. It's a state. It's a national. It's global.
Absolutely.
And so we can do this. We need markets, to be able to, if we're going to repurpose waste, like scrap metal or glass, we need an end market, right? It's economics, but the sky's the limit. Yeah. And but what I do know it is not okay to continue to landfill.
Absolutely.
And we have to accept reality that we have to start turning some of this waste into energy. Do it in a clean way.
That's right.
And then we haven't even been able to touch on yard waste or, we as a former county commissioner yourself, that this is one of the biggest problems. We have no place to put, trees and waste, and you have all the diseased trees, and we don't have any place to do it. And so we've got to figure stuff like that out. And we have a lot of good partners that are willing to walk with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's nothing but opportunity again, as long as we're willing to take those risks and really explore what's available. So let's talk about community a little bit. Mm-hmm. So what do you want community to know about what's in their garbage?
Well, that it can be reused and recycled and reduced, and to be cognizant of also how you are disposing of garbage. I implore everybody to sign up that are in Ramsey and Washington County for our food scrap program.
Yes.
Go to our website. Trista's going to have it on the website for the podcast, and sign up, because it is the easiest thing to do. Mm-hmm. And to make sure that you are educating yourselves about what is recyclable, what is not recyclable.
Right.
And just, do your part. Yeah. Play your position, do your part.
Yes.
And that's what we all can do. And, again, hopefully the community understands that together we can, divert the waste out of landfills, make our water cleaner, our air cleaner, create good jobs from it, good paying jobs from it, and also just do what is right for the environment.
Yeah. So what's the biggest thing that's recycled at your house?
I would say, so my husband really likes the Kirkland canned water. And so I would say the aluminum cans by far are. But, the food scrap program I have talked a lot about to people, and they've signed up. And, I like not one crumb goes in the garbage. Like now
awesome.
It's like a point. It's a goal. Like,
So talk about it. So if people aren't familiar with the food scrap program, tell them how easy it is and what does it mean? Sign up, and then what happens?
so you go to the website, you sign up, and the wonderful staff will send you 2 huge rolls. That we have 2 different size bags, so you get to choose. There's a container, and that's really as easy as it is. And you get up to 4 rolls a year that are free, and then you just put all your food waste in this bag, tie it up, and then put it in your garbage can that goes out to the corner, in and by itself. Don't tuck it in anywhere; just drop it in, and then these cool AI robots will at the R&E Center in Newport or transfer station, depending on where you live, will sort out and pick out the green bags that they're in, and then those get set aside, and then they get on a truck and they go and become compost or anaerobic digestion.
Yeah. It really is that easy. That's why I wanted you to explain it. It's really that easy. We just need to collect it. We turn it into renewable natural gas going directly into the pipeline. It will heat and cool homes into the future.
And I encourage listeners to come to the R&E Center for a tour. Like, we offer tours with groups. So if you're a member of a Girl Scout group or Rotary, for example, just off the top of my head, go ahead and call the R&E Center, sign up. We have wonderful people that give tours and that are very well versed in what we do. And you can see firsthand what we remove and what's recycled. And you can see the robots with the food scrap.
That's right. Or you can go to our website and you can take a virtual tour as well. So there's really endless opportunities to connect and learn about what we do. Tell me, in those early years when we were working to purchase the facility, what were some of the challenges and what were the concerns? I mean, this is unusual. Not all counties have processing centers like this.
So now we're going to get in the weeds, but I think one of the bigger issues for me was that was a private building. Private buildings pay property taxes.
Yes.
Government buildings do not. And so when, Newport is a small city but very mighty. But, they needed the tax revenue.
Yes.
So to make sure that the agreement had something that we call PILT, payment in lieu of taxes, so that we made sure they were whole and did not lose revenue, so that it didn't fall on the residents of Newport to cover the loss of a private building. And then I think the other challenges were to get people to believe that we could mitigate the smell, that we were going to be able to invest enough to make it viable. And boy, did we prove them wrong.
Right.
And so I think those were the challenges. It's just how are we going to convince and message it, the purchase.
Yeah. So we have overcome the challenges of the past. What are the challenges on the horizon that you see?
Growth. Woodbury, Cottage Grove, Lake Elmo, particularly Newport, actually, are the fastest growing communities in Washington County. Yeah. I mean, Ramsey is landlocked.
Right.
It can grow up, not out, but doesn't matter. The tourism, the business, that all is waste.
Yeah.
And so as they grow and become more vibrant, especially under Mayor Herr, we're going to see an increase of traffic in corporations and residents in Ramsey County as well. So growth. And then I think the innovation of technology, how are we going to use that? How are we going to explain it? And how are we going to make sure we're going to use it to improve our process?
Yeah. And then policies on the horizon, right? We're always forced to respond or to lead on policies. We're not afraid of them, but sometimes the technology isn't as available as the policy deadline.
Or I'll be more blunt than you because I was up there. You know, the policymakers don't know what the heck they're doing, and they pass policy that doesn't make sense or work or contradictory to what current statute is, which if you want to annoy me, that is one way to do it.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a challenge too, is how do we work with those policymakers?
Yeah, because it's good intentions, right? It is not nefarious, but it is good intentions. Speaking of good intentions and not nefarious, we've had another issue that has come up this year. You want to talk about it?
Yeah. So, and it's actually very problematic, especially for our employees. So obviously, the both counties have hospitals and have, medical facilities that create and generate medical waste. And what I mean by that is, bodily fluids and body parts and tissue and ugh. Yeah. And we don't accept that. Right. There is a separate statute, separate process for medical waste. And there's a good reason for it, because when our workers are exposed to this, they could get sick. They don't want to do it. It's traumatic. They don't want to see this. We do not want our tip floor when this waste gets through to look like Jeffrey Dahmer's kitchen or Ed Gein's, freezer or barn. Right. And so it's just gross. We don't want body parts and stuff like that. So a bunch of us went up to the legislature, led by Finnegan. We protect Finnegan at all costs, who does our stakeholder and our government affairs. Yes. We went up there and asked for the law to change to hold these waste generators accountable. Right. And, what happened is we're going to end up studying that to make sure that the audits, if you will, or the inspections, if you will, and training that we need them to have are sufficient. But more importantly, when they just blatantly disregard what we're doing, the fines need to be adequate to make sure that they're just not reaching into petty cash and sending, it over. It has to be, significant to make them change their behavior.
Yeah, you've been a huge champion and really descriptive as we've been testifying. And we're going to dig into that a little deeper on our next podcast with Representative Wayne Johnson, who helped us with that legislation. But
he's my predecessor and successor. It's funny. It's funny.
You two like to swap seats, which is also a little ironic with your height difference as well. Yeah. You couldn't be more yin and yang.
That's right.
Well, we'll dive into that. Well, Commissioner, it has been a joy and a treat to serve with you, alongside you, and now for you in this role at Ramsey, Washington. On our way out, what do you want to close with today?
Well, thank you for putting this together. I appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit, and your leadership is tremendous, and appreciate the fact that you really just want to get this information out. So thank you to all the listeners. Make sure you like the podcast, and so that you can receive alerts when there's new ones, and tell your friends and family about it, and share it on social media for us.
Thank you so much. And this is our inaugural podcast. And of course, we chose Commissioner Karla Bigham to be our first guest, as she's a frequent podcaster herself. And you should follow her podcast as well. They're always fun and entertaining. And then like and share ours as well. Thanks for listening to Trash Talk with Trista. Every conversation helps us better understand how we can reduce waste, recover resources, and build a more sustainable future together. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone. We'll see you the next time.